When I'm spaced out, it's really a good timing that music visits me. If I'm busy like this, no, of course I can't.
But you're always spaced out.
Yeah, more or less.
The film is ostensibly about a Japanese woman called Romy who's living in the suburbs of Paris, tending to her paraplegic lover. I say ostensibly because this very premise starts to become somewhat questionable. And to pass the time, she recounts to him a story that alludes to a time that they once lived in Japan together. And as the story goes on, things start to become a little bit strange, and the reliability of what she's recounting starts to become questionable. So the film has this very strange dynamic where the narrative of the narration and the narrative of the visuals don't sort of sync up at all. At moments they do, only to sort of slip out again, and it creates this kind of third space where the audience is required to piece the parts together in their own way.
KURO was about something that we cannot really know and explain.
The name KURO, it basically comes from kuroko, which is a sort of stagehand in traditional Japanese puppet theatre called bunraku. They appear on stage dressed completely in black, and they move about the sets or sometimes also control the puppets, and the idea is that they're a sort of sign for something that should be invisible. But of course it's blatantly obvious that they're there, but it's this idea that you somehow conjure their invisibility in your imagination, and so there's a sort of reference to that in the film.
Sound design and music was genius. I wondered if you could talk about how that developed throughout.
In some ways, the genesis of the film was based around my admiration of her music and her songwriting. In a handful of her albums, there's always one song where she's sort of narrating a story. And so for me to sort of bring all that into the film was a no-brainer. I completely sort of entrusted the sonic world of this film to Noriko.
Well, making music, especially my way of making music, is really, really solitude. And then the film, even if it's a really mini budget, it's working together and always negotiating or compromising.
But I have to say, like that it was one of the most amazing things to watch you make the music. We were in Berlin together, and I was sort of finishing up some of the editing of the film, and then Noriko was sitting right beside me with her headphones, just bashing away at her keyboard and her laptop and her little gadgets and stuff. At one point she just put her headphones down and said, "Okay, I think I have something."
It's like I feel a bit embarrassed to show myself when I'm working. I want to go to somewhere hidden and then I want to work. And don't watch me.
But you were fine with me, no?
Yeah, it was. There was no choice.